Hi guys, today I'm going to do something different and give my coaching and woman's reaction to a video that I saw a while back, and I had also announced it on the channel that I would do my reaction, pretty much because I feel that it might actually be useful for us to approach this, basically. So that being said, let's get on with it. So the video I'm giving my opinion on is called "When It's Time for a Long-Term Relationship, Women Find Out They Don't Exist for Them Anymore." And the caption image actually says the dating apocalypse arrives on Tinder and men are winning. And this video has over 400,000 views in just 3 weeks as of now. The channel's name is Better Bachelor and the host calls himself Joker. Hi, Joker. So why did I choose to do this? I don't follow this guy's channel, but I did come across the video and I found it of interest in my work and in the messages that I also put out here. My channel has 72% men subscribers, so I think my perspective could potentially be useful to you guys. I'll play some parts of the video and then I'll insert my comments. Most of the stuff Joker, as he calls himself, says I do agree with. Sadly, that is the situation out there. So what is this about? Dating apps, mainstream entertainment, and women's liberation haven't really helped women. Sadly, I too see that. I'm not sure how many people take a step back and observe what is going on out there on the marketplace, or if they read a few statistics or listen to interviews with sociologists, or even listen to videos like Joker's or mine now. It does help to get a feel of what is going on in the large picture and feel where you are situated.
What has happened is that a lot of guys now that weren't doing well based on their looks, because you don't have a way to, on a profile, it's all about your looks, it's all about your job, it's all about your income, it's all about that kind of thing. It's just the surface level stuff. Well, guys that don't have the surface level stuff have realized, hey, I'm not getting any game on here. So they drop out. They're not there anymore.
Guys that don't fit the external norm, so that's looks, money, have gone out of hookup apps. And Joker continues to say that these guys are winning because they're not playing the game anymore. A comment from me here: anyone, man or woman, not on dating apps is in fact winning.
So we have here's a traditional chart of kind of what, when you Google search hypergamy, what it means. And it means that guys will date a girl that's a little better than them. They'll date a girl that's equal to them. They'll even settle a little bit depending on what they're looking for in a woman. Like, for example, she may not have a great job, but she meets all the other qualifications. And maybe the guy's got enough money to not worry about that. Or maybe she has a really great job and she pays her own bills, and she might treat the guy to dinners and meals, but maybe she's not quite as good looking as you'd hope. But she's got, there's a balance.
He explains the concept of hypergamy, and he points out that women will never date lower than themselves or their level in the traditional dating scenery. Also, he points out that for men, it's still the way of dating. So they'll date only in their close range, a step down, equal, or a little better than them. And a remark here, based on what does one evaluate who's better than whom? Looks, economics, status, intellect, self-esteem, personal values that they hold and that they apply in life, a combination of these. If yes, which combinations? So I admit I personally wasn't 100% sure of the evaluation criteria for attributing someone the qualification of a little better, equal, or a step down. But let's say that that's not so bad. Everyone has their subjective evaluation.
And what it is basically a guy will hit on anybody that's better than him, his equal, and even a couple steps lower. Because he knows, hey, this isn't somebody I'm going to be introducing to my family. This isn't a long-term relationship. This is just a hit it and quit it situation. Call her up, have her come over, slide into my DMs, or I'll slide into her DMs. She'll slide into my bedroom. We have our little bit of fun. She goes on her way. No one's the wiser, and I got some action.
He makes the distinction between guys sleeping down but not dating down. And I guess this is a fact. Women need to hear and realize that men think that way.
If you look at the blue chart here, the ladies are only wanting to be with the best guys, the very best. Why? Because they think they can. Why? Because those guys will date down.
So a few womanly remarks here. Yes, women are more selective with who they sleep, not just in the dating scene. And I don't want to go in too much philosophy here, but most women, at least in up to the millennial generation, have been raised to take better care of their appearances. Somehow they've also been told to aim high, with them taking care of themselves. In personal growth, that actually happens naturally. You start doing any work on yourself and you automatically seek somebody who does the same. It's natural. And not too many guys have been brought up to take better care of themselves. Maybe the solution here isn't for women to settle, but to change some of the personal care and personal growth messages that we give to everyone around, both men and women, especially when they're growing up. One more thing I do want to mention here, I've heard this from many women and men. When men finally get in a relationship with someone they love, they start transforming. They do want to better themselves in terms of looks, career, health, stamina. I've heard this from married women, married men, heck, even from men's dating coaches. I had an interview on my channel. I'll link this video underneath. Next, Joker goes on to say,
look, a 10 in the past wouldn't get in a long-term relationship with a 5. He wouldn't. But a 10 will sleep with a 5, 5 being average. There's really good-looking guys that are like, it's kind of a quiet night. She's all right. She's okay. And it's close to closing time in the pub. We'll sneak back to my place, a little old in and out. She's on her way. No one's the wiser, and I had my fun. So guys will do that. And so that woman, though, as she's the 5 going home, is thinking, I just was with this 10, and he's amazing, and I want to be with him long term.
I'll stop you boys right there. Women do not give grades. We do not do that. No woman out there, again, at least not until the millennial generation, will have had the habit of giving a guy a grade. We don't have grades for guys. We might have qualifications, though, as in amazing, gorgeous, great, awesome, so-and-so. Nah, yuck, disgusting. We'll definitely say that, but give them grades, no. I encourage you guys to spend more time with women to understand how we think. We really think in terms of qualities and traits and emotional expressions instead of quantities and numbers.
And the women, we're empowered and we're like the guys now. We're just free and we'll just go sleep around, have our fun.
That may be the case of younger and inexperienced women who haven't stepped into their inner power. Immature and naive women will do that, yes. Older women, not too many men like older women, like the late 30s or early 40s, because they know what the heck they're about and what they need. And they're not your small fish in a pond. So that mentally doesn't apply to older women who have done enough work on themselves to step into their power. They hold their boundaries. They call out men on blunders or disrespectful attitude. Guys call that masculinity. Women call that self-esteem and having relational standards. Guys on Tinder and other apps don't have a freaking clue how to handle such a woman. It's not in their caliber. Women like that are of much heavier caliber, and Tinder guys can't compute that.
Now, what about the guy that's a 5? They don't even look at him anymore. So what's he do? He leaves the dating apps because he says, you know what? I have a lot to offer. It's just not like if you read on a profile that I'm 5'7", that's a mark against me. If you read on a profile that I'm a welder, that's a mark against me. And it's not really, but I'm saying this as if you're a woman. He's got some photos, but he's not really rocking, a six-pack and muscles. Next.
Here's my perspective. Guys that leave the apps and don't fit the looks or income criteria of women on dating apps, first of all, remember some women dislike dating apps and the dynamic there altogether, simply because of the superficiality the joke here mentions as well. Remember that these women have a different mentality than the ones who remain on the apps. for these women, a guy that begins doing work on himself, builds enough stamina, holds a relationship of a heavier caliber, takes care of his looks, lifestyle, career, they'll be more interesting or more magnetic to these women. The dating apps aren't the only place to find high-quality women. That's what I'd like to say to these guys out there. There are way bigger fish in the sea, and dating apps are a joke to many women still.
And yet a lack of intimate knowledge of his potential partners never presents him with an obstacle in physical intimacy, Alex says. Alex, his friends agree, is a Tinder king, a young man of such deft text game that the ability to actually convince someone to do something over text, Marty explains, and he is able to entice young women into his bed on the basis of a few text exchanges while letting them know up front he's not interested in having a relationship.
Well, we have this saying in Romania, one is not a fool to ask, one is a fool to agree. I guess for young women, it seems okay to have sex with people we've never met before. I do know that in the long run, that's not what we need nor want. And sex with strangers isn't certainly something that makes us happy. Heck, it's valid even for men if they ever got to have a relationship where they actually loved the woman they were with. And they saw themselves becoming better overall. So not just because of the woman, but also because of the relationship that they had with her. I know texting and sexting aren't exactly a source of happiness in the long run. I know the women who come to my sessions, take my programs, and see how most are missing a deeper and more heartfelt connection to their partners. There's only so much connection a sex message can bring you in the long run.
If you ask me, if I were to put on a Tinder profile and I say bald, 5'7", retired engineer, YouTuber, living in a bus down, or a van, actually, well, living by a van down by the river, but living in a bus down by the river, man, no one's swiping on me.
Joker, I love the sincerity here. And before this, when you said that easy women are on Tinder, not the high quality women, I agree with that too. I also feel that many girls want to be seen as cool, fit in, or accepted, or they want to have a shot at something better, and they think that's the way to do it. And that's sad. They're not easy. They don't have enough self-esteem to quit this stupid game. Because yes, Tinder and dating apps are a stupid game nowadays. They started many years back as something completely different and have been brought down to a meat marketplace. Sorry.
But Marty, let's see, he says, is no slouch at racking up girls. He says he's slept with 30 to 40 women in the last year.
I can see how Joker would be sarcastic here. I see no reason for that. I know many young women would want something different, and the entire hookup culture is a game that got out of hand. And because so many people don't listen to sound advice or just to wiser words, I'm not going to give them here. The crude reality is that a few generations need to grow up and start speaking about these apps. Many shitty outcomes for the average girl, and the man in the article also puts it like that. As a woman, I understand that our sexual needs and emotional needs with the one we're having sex with are intertwined. That's why I started working on myself sexually, and also why I began doing sexuality coaching for women. The balancing of our sexual impulse does help us keep our head cool in the long run and helps us not get messed up by all the stupid games the average guy plays, be it on Tinder or in real life. I'm not here to say people should remain bachelors, virgins, or any of that thing. I am here to tell people they can get centered in their sexuality and have the capacity to see through the thin veils a lot of the messed up games that are out there. Eventually, the majority of people want to find someone and have some family. Everyone has a different definition of family, so I'll just leave it at some family.
It's the very abundance of options provided by online dating which may be making men less inclined to treat any particular woman as a priority. According to David Buss, a professor of psychology at the University of Texas at Austin, who specializes in the evolution of human sexuality. Apps like Tinder and OkCupid give people the impression that there are thousands or millions of potential mates out there. Bus says, one dimension is the impact that it has on men's psychology. When there's a surplus of women, or a perceived surplus of women, the whole mating system tends to shift towards short-term dating. Marriages become unsustainable, divorces increase, men don't have to commit, so they pursue a short-term mating strategy. Men are making that shift, and women are forced to go along with it in order to mate at all.
There's another approach here. Start working on your sexuality and start doing sexual practices to balance your sexual impulse. It's like a Jedi training, as one of my women coaches said it in our sessions. It's not easy, it's not for the faint of heart, and let me say this, it's not easy to play that stupid game either, as in playing the roulette and keep losing and end up used and bitter over time. I'm not against men. I'll marry one someday, but I am against the stupid mentality of using people when you realize they might get hurt. I don't know what happens inside a dude's soul to be okay with using people so much, but I do know that eventually that game comes crushing down on him too. If anyone thinks people are just dumb sheep that don't take a stand when shit like that happens, that's where we all get it wrong. We can smell crap like that, and eventually we do something about it. And my role here is to help people start doing something about this situation sooner and take care of themselves, especially women. Yeah, they are being played in a way that most don't actually want to be played, but they are too young to see that they're being played by a collective approach that isn't fulfilling. And here's his comment.
These top 10, 20, 30% of men have an abundance of women. They have all these women now chasing after them. And here's what's different than in the past, willing to sleep with them. So the guys that just want to get some and not look for long term, they don't care if they're sleeping with a 10 or a 5. Like, she's average and I'm getting some and it was easy. I'll take it. Oh, she's a 7, but I have to buy her a cup of coffee? Yeah, okay. She's a 10, but she wants me to wine and dine and jump through hoops for her? Forget it. I mean, yeah, she's hot, but I can swipe and have 8 matches with 6s that require nothing. I can just have her knock on my door like a delivery service and she's in my bed. So guys will do that. And so the top 30% are doing this. So they're not dating long term. They don't have to. They're just getting what they want, which is intimacy a lot because they're young men. And the other 70% of guys, 60% of guys, I'd say probably the very bottom 10 or 20% of those, maybe they're, OnlyFans. Because maybe they still want to date. And that's what I mean by the bottom 10 or 20%. Bottom 10 or 20% of men that still want to date. They're maybe on OnlyFans. Maybe they're looking at adult stuff on the internet and being bummed out. But there's a whole group of men in there that are like, well, it's not working out for me, but you know what? I got hobbies. I'm good. I'll maybe watch an adult flick every once in a while, take care of it myself, and I got friends and I got hobbies, so they're out. So what happens is a lot of men have left the market. A lot of men know they really don't have a chance at it, and they're out. A lot of guys should have a chance at it, but they're not getting that chance. They're out. And so that all that's left is guys that are like on there maybe to get lucky, and the top 30% of guys that are getting everybody, and they're never going to settle down. So what's happening? Men aren't dating. Men are just out. You've got players and you've got nobody. That's all you're left with.
First off, this is his perspective, and for all I know, he could be right. And here, I say that this game isn't just on women, it's also on men. If we are reduced to players and nobodies, what the heck? Are we going to go along with this game that is leaving us all more fragmented and even worse than before? Guys, you're 72% on my channel. What do you think about that? I would love to know. The reason I feel my channel is so small is that I take the long way or the hard way. I invite people to actually do personal work, look at the stuff that isn't helping, and distinguish between the stuff that we can change and the ones we can't. And that actually means that we start making a better life for ourselves. Can we make others like us because of that? No. And I see this in my work. I'm not here inviting you to get better at hooking up. I'd be making a whole lot of money that way, but I don't believe in hooking up. I'm not here helping you to get better at Tinder because I don't believe in that app either, or any of those. What I am saying is that you can be better at your sexuality. You can start to transpire something else than player or nobody. And that means doing work on yourself. And I'm going to stop here. Joker, in his video, encourages women to start dating on their level. I encourage women to start knowing themselves and figure out what they're about, including sexually, what their needs are. And that means women will get centered and stop being pizza delivery service, as he calls it, to men who don't give more than a fuck about them anyway. That's not sexual growth, though many people have regressed to believe so in the advent, or with the advent of these apps. It's not. You're not going to be happy spending your years of youth and vitality and beauty just hooking up with people in hopes that maybe one day you'll have a relationship. That's sadly not the way. And trust me, you're not going ever to have what you have right now, youth. It's enough to look at some of the sex symbols of the 90s to see what aging isn't doing much favor to anyone. I'd say use this immense human potential that youth is and serve yourself way better in the long run. Unconscious sexuality, which these apps foster for most people who have never received proper education around sex and relationships, is only consuming their energy and potential. So that's it from me. Ladies, I do have an online program. It's called Sex Dojo for Women, where you get to work and listen to some of my insights about women's sexuality. It's on the upper left corner of my YouTube channel. I strongly encourage you to check it out. And gentlemen, I only have my public videos for you or online coaching. And I do mean coaching, nothing else. Sorry, but not sorry for anyone who doesn't have a clue what coaching is. If you find these videos of help, maybe you will support my channel also. I have a PayPal donation button also on my homepage on YouTube, upper left corner. So everyone, let's get centered, let's get empowered, and let's live our lives, intimate lives included, much happier. And I'll see you next week.